Another one of those unsupervised hood kids. Officer Brent Kessler muttered, eyes narrowing beneath mirrored shades as he stalked across the quiet suburban park. To him, the small black boy painting a birdhouse beneath the sycamore was a nuisance, an easy target to flex his authority on. The child's calm politeness only fueled his contempt. He saw trembling hands, not quiet courage. What Kessler didn't see was the man just across the street, Marcus Ellison, off-duty, level-headed, and newly appointed police chief. One slap would awaken the wrong father, and this town would never sleep quietly again. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you are watching from, and make sure to subscribe because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. The morning sun filtered through the sycamore leaves, casting dappled shadows on Veterans Green. Jaden Ellison sat cross-legged on a worn checkered blanket, his tongue poking out slightly as he concentrated on the wooden pieces before him. The birdhouse kit was spread around him like a puzzle waiting to be solved. "Now, what's the next step, young man?" Miss Weezy called from her usual bench. Her knitting needles clicked steadily as she watched him work. Jaden held up the instruction sheet, squinting at the diagrams. "It says to attach the roof pieces first, Miss Weezy." He carefully lined up two smooth wooden panels, making sure the edges matched perfectly. "Take your time," she said, adjusting her reading glasses. "A house needs a strong foundation, whether it's for people or birds." The morning air was crisp and clean, carrying the sense of fresh-cut grass and early spring flowers. Other park visitors strolled by. Elderly couples walking their dogs, mothers pushing strollers, joggers in bright clothing. Everyone seemed to know Miss Weezy, offering warm greetings as they passed. "Morning, Miss Louise," called the park's worker, pushing his cart of gardening tools. "Good morning, Jimmy," she replied, never missing a stitch in her knitting. "The tulips are looking lovely this year." Jaden carefully applied wood glue to the joints of his birdhouse, just as his father had shown him. Marcus had spent last night going over the instructions with him, pointing out the importance of taking time to do things right. "Hey, champ." Marcus's voice came from behind, making Jaden smile. His father stood there in jeans and a light jacket, looking relaxed on his Saturday off. "Dad, look how much I've done already." Jaden pointed proudly to his progress. Marcus crouched down, examining the careful construction. "That's some fine craftsmanship there, son." He ruffled Jaden's hair. "Those sparrows are going to have a 5-star hotel." "When do you think they'll come?" Jaden asked eagerly. Marcus laughed, the sound warm and deep. "Can't rush nature, Jay. Be patient. Sparrows come to those who wait." He checked his watch. "I've got some errands to run, but I'll be back later. You mind, Miss Weezy?" "Okay. Yes, sir." Jaden nodded, already reaching for his paintbrush. Miss Weezy waved as Marcus headed toward the parking lot. "That father of yours is right about patience," she said, sitting aside her knitting to pull out her ever-present notebook. "In all my years teaching, I found that was the hardest lesson for children to learn." Jaden opened the small container of blue paint. "Did you teach a long time, Miss Weezy?" 43 years, she said, making a note in her book. "Taught right here in Stone Ridge Elementary until I retired. Had your father in my class too, if you can believe it." "Really?" Jaden's eyes widened. "What was he like?" Miss Weezy chuckled. "Just like you, curious about everything, always asking questions." She watched as Jaden applied careful strokes of paint to the birdhouse. And just as meticulous, too. The morning stretched on peacefully. Jaden painted each section of the birdhouse with careful attention, wiping away any drips before they could dry. Miss Weezy alternated between her knitting and her notebook, occasionally offering advice or sharing stories about the park's history. "Veterans Green wasn't always so pretty," she told him. "When I was a girl, it was just an empty lot. The whole community came together to make it what it is today." A slight breeze rustled through the sycamore leaves, carrying the sweet scents of nearby flowering bushes. Jaden had just finished painting the roof a brilliant blue when movement caught his eye. There, not 3 feet away, a white-throated sparrow hopped across the grass. Its distinctive black and white striped head turned this and that, checking for danger before moving closer to investigate the new addition to its territory. "Miss Wheezy, look!" Jaden whispered excitedly, not to startle the bird. She smiled, setting down her knitting. "Well, would you look at that? Looks like patience works after all." They shared a quiet laugh, watching the sparrow hop closer to inspect Jaden's handiwork. The morning felt perfect. The sun warm on their faces, the grass soft beneath the blanket, the peaceful atmosphere of the park wrapping around them like a comfortable blanket. In the distance, a dark pickup truck pulled up to the curb. Its engine continued to run, the low rumble barely noticeable among the cheerful sounds of the park. The noise blended in with the background. Children's laughter from the playground, dogs barking in the distance, the rustle of leaves in the breeze. The truck sat there idling as Life in Veterans Green continued its Saturday morning routine. The late morning sun hung high in the cloudless sky, its heat shimmering off the park's metal benches and playground equipment. Officer Brent Kessler's patrol truck pulled up to the curb, its dark bulk casting a shadow across the freshly mown grass. He sat there for a moment, eyes narrowed behind mirrored sunglasses, scanning Veterans Green like a hawk searching for prey. Finding nothing to justify his suspicion didn't improve his mood. He stepped out, adjusting his belt with its carefully arranged gear, and began a slow walk toward the playground. His boots crunched deliberately on the gravel path, announcing his presence to everyone nearby. Jaden was adding final touches to his birdhouse, carefully wiping away excess paint from the edges, when the shadow fell across his work. He looked up to find Officer Kessler looming over him, hands on his belt, a smile that didn't reach his eyes, fixed on his face. "You the one hanging things from city property?" Kessler's voice dripped with false politeness, the kind adults use when they'd already decided you were in trouble. "No, sir," he replied carefully, his father's lesson in respectful behavior kicking in automatically. "It's not nailed or anything. Just going to tie it with twine, like the instructions say." Kessler began circling Jaden's workspace, boots crunching the edge of the checkered blanket. "Instructions say," he mimicked, emphasizing Jaden's slight grammatical slip. "And where exactly are your parents? Or did you just decide to come vandalize the park all by yourself?" Miss Wheezy sat down her knitting, her weathered hands folded carefully in her lap. "Officer, he's 9 years old and has permission to be here. I've been watching him all morning." "9 or 19 doesn't matter," Kessler snapped, his facade of politeness cracking. "You people always think you can do whatever you want." The words carried across the suddenly quiet park. Nearby joggers slowed their pace, sensing the growing tension. Jaden instinctively took a step back, his shoulders hunching slightly. The movement seemed to trigger something in Kessler, who lunged forward and grabbed Jaden's arm. His fingers dug into the boy's skin as he twisted, forcing him to face him. "Stand still when an officer's talking to you," growled Kessler. "Let's see some ID." "Officer, I told you he's 9 years old." Miss Wheezy's voice rose as she stood from her bench, her notebook clutched tightly. "You're hurting him." Kessler's free hand shot out, shoving Miss Wheezy's outstretched arm away. "Stay out of this, nosy old lady. This isn't your business." Jaden's eyes filled with tears, more from fear than pain. "Please, sir, you're hurting me," he whispered, his voice trembling. The sound of fear in Jaden's voice seemed to enrage Kessler further. His face flushed red, veins standing out on his neck. He shouted, "Don't talk back." And before anyone could move, his hand flashed through the air. The crack of the slap echoed across Veterans Green like a gunshot. Birds exploded from the nearby trees, and a panic of wings and alarmed calls. Jaden stumbled backward, losing his balance and hitting the ground hard. His hand went to his cheek, where an angry red mark was already forming. Gasps rippled through the growing crowd of onlookers. Parents pulled their children closer. Phones appeared in high hands, and Miss Wheezy's face contorted with fury. "You monster!" she screamed, her usual composure shattered by the sight of violence against a child. Kessler straightened up, his chest puffing out as he breathed heavily. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the morning chill.